Thank you, Marcus. I think we don't have time to discuss any question, so we will go to the next.
Nice to see you. Thank you. So I'm Farooq Sheikh from Saudi Arabia. We became a Ucare center this year, and I'm very happy to be here. In the next few minutes, we'll talk about the Ucare ongoing projects, present status, looking back and moving forward. And the first speaker would be Karsten Weller, and they're going to talk to us about Cure. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you very much. Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to give you an insight into Cure and the current status of the registry. First of all, as you all know, clinical studies with its highly selected patient populations only partly represent the real world we are all living in and working in. Furthermore, there are rare CU subforms, rare CU patient subgroups that are difficult to study in randomized controlled trials. And finally, certain epidemiologic data can only be studied in real-world large patient collectives. And all of these reasons led to the founding of Cure 6 years ago by the Urticaria Network, EV UNEF, with the idea to really become the first global registry for chronic urticaria, CSU, and CIndU. During the first 2 years, there was a lot of preparation work that had to be done before, in December 2015, the actual registry could be launched and the data entry could start it. And since then, Cure really expanded to a global registry. This is a list of the currently participating centers. It's 36 participating centers, and at this point I really would like to thank every one of you who are part already, who contribute data, all of you who want to become part. This is really, I think, a big success we can all be proud of. These 36 centers come from 22 different countries, from 4 continents, so it's really not a regional one continent, it's really a global registry already, and we really need to further expand this. This is the current status. We have, as of now, more than 2,700 patients in the registry. Of almost 1,000 of them, we have at least one follow-up entry available. When we look at the demographic data, we have more than 2,000 patients with CSU in the registry, more than 600 patients with CIndUs. Among them, we have more than 100 children and adolescents. And when you look at the mean age and gender distribution, it's basically exactly what we expect from this patient population. When we look at the subforms that are in the registry at the moment, you see it's all the subforms we know, patients with only wheals, patients with wheals and angioedema, and only the group, the very interesting group of angioedema only, we have 6% of patients, adding up to more than 100 patients in the registry. So a very interesting patient group. When we look at the CIndUs, we also have a lot of patients in the registry. Of course, the big three, the three most common CIndUs, symptomatic dermographism, cold urticaria, cholinergic urticaria, we have the most patients, but we also have a lot of patients with the rarer forms, and we hope to really extend this more in the future to also get considerable data on solar urticaria, for example, to make this better studyable. Finally, what is the current treatment of the patients? when entered at baseline, you see that there are a lot of patients with antihistamines and licensed dosed, with up-dosed antihistamines, but also antihistamine refractory patients, more than 250 patients on anti-IgE treatment so far. So I think the most important message is here, there's a lot of interesting information in the registry, a lot of interesting patient groups that really wait for being analyzed, wait for being published. And of course, in such a registry, there needs to be a clear structure to do this. And the current structure is that we have the entering centers here. Here. And these entering centers enter data into the Cure database. They have access to their own data. They can also request extracts of their data sets, of their own data sets, and in case they entered a predefined number of data sets and they have good research ideas, they can make suggestions to the International Steering Committee of the registry, the ISC, and this ISC then decides on these analyses, or let's better say coordinates these analyses, and when it comes to publications, there are all author options depending again on how many patients have been entered to the registry. So I think it's quite a nice structure here, and we can learn a lot of this registry. Marcus said it already, there are 91 Ucares at the moment, certified centers. We know that 33 of them take part in Cure already, and we really hope that we can raise interest in Cure, and we hope that some of you, or ideally all of the remaining Ucares, also become part of the Cure registry. So if you're interested, you can go to the Cure website. It's just urticaria-registry.com and learn more about the registry. There's a lot of information on the website, on the registry, information for how to become a participant, and also the contact data from the Cure office. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Amit Kojaturk for talking to us about the PREG CU, please.
Hello again. I'm going to present preliminary data from our PREG-Q study. It's now closed. We closed it at 1st of September. So I'm not going into details, but the aim of this study was the impact of, to analyze the impact of pregnancy on the course of chronic urticaria, treatments given during pregnancy, and outcomes of the pregnancy. So I'm skipping these. We gave a 47-item questionnaire to the patients who declared that they experienced pregnancy during their chronic urticaria course. We included patients who had pregnancy while having chronic urticaria during the last 3 years, and they required to have chronic urticaria before pregnancy. So I'm going quick. And now the results. We had results of 280 patients. Thanks for the friends who gave their data, especially Mona Al Ahmed. Thank you. She gave 74 patients. So we had mostly chronic spontaneous urticaria. 37 patients had only CINDU, and the age, mean age was like 34 years, and the duration of urticaria was 62 months. And urticaria treatment just before pregnancy, most of the patients were using antihistamines. 17 patients were on omalizumab before pregnancy. So when we asked, did you stop medication because you wanted to get pregnant, 64% answered no, we didn't stop our medication. And the severity of urticaria was moderate to severe in approximately 63% of the patients. So 55% of the patients did not experience exacerbation of urticaria during pregnancy, while 45% experienced exacerbations. And most of the exacerbations happened in the first trimester and the third trimester. And 61% of the patients received treatment during pregnancy. Most of them received antihistamines, and 7 received omalizumab. At the beginning it was 17, but 10 stopped taking omalizumab and 7 were left. It was interesting that angioedema frequency decreased during pregnancy. And overall, only 29% of the patients said my urticaria got worse during pregnancy, and 22% reported that they had a problematic pregnancy. And the patients had, 16% of the patients had preterm delivery, and approximately 10% of the patients had of the newborns had medical problems. 3 dead babies, 2 had urticaria. Interestingly, the newborns had urticaria. Cleft lip was in 1 patient, and preterm delivery required in ICU. And perimeter membrane rupture was in 1 patient, and cardiac arrhythmia was in 1 patient. So the 80% of the patients gave breastfeeding, and 51.6% of the patients had treatment during breastfeeding, and most of them received antihistamines, and 8 of the patients received omalizumab while breastfeeding. So as a summary, we had 280 patients. Only 14% of them stopped treatment because of pregnancy. 45% experienced exacerbation of urticaria. Most of the exacerbations were at the first and third trimester, and 7 used omalizumab, while 133 used antihistamines. 68% got treatment at the first trimester. Angioedema frequency decreased during pregnancy. Overall, half of them described their urticaria got better during pregnancy. 78% stated their pregnancy was unproblematic. 16% of the pregnant chronic urticaria had preterm birth, slightly higher than the general population. 80% breastfed the baby. It was a similar rate to the normal population. So we had some limitations, and the results will be presented at the next EAACI Congress in London, and we aim to publish in a good journal. Any comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Emek, very much. And now I'd like to invite Ivan Cherez to talk to us about Curect. Thank you.
Great data. Super data. Excellent. Thank you. Very interesting.
Good morning, dear colleagues. I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to this family meeting. 2 years ago, I present during the Barcelona meeting our Curate project. It consisted in explore what is the frequency and preference of use of information and communication technology in patients with chronic urticaria. Now we close the recruitment. We are analyzing the data and preparing our manuscript, and we hope next year on February we have a chance to submit our paper. I would like to show you the most relevant or the partial information that we found. When we ask the patient how they obtain information using ICTs, the grade of people say that use a web browser, followed by YouTube and Facebook. But this is important because only 40% of the patients consider useful this information. For instance, when we ask the patient how the patient would like to receive this information, the best rated ICT was web browser. And excuse me. I finished my, please. This is important because when we ask the patient how would like to receive information, they prefer in the first rated web browser followed by email and WhatsApp. This is important to understand because if we want to send in the future good information, quality information with quality or validated information, we need to use the ICT what patient prefer. That is important result for us. When we ask to the patient how would like to communicate with their physician, the best rated was WhatsApp, email, and web browser. But when we ask the patient if they believe if we use ICTs, we could replace the possibility to see a physician, unfortunately, only 28% of the patients agree with this statement. This is good news for us because we have more chance to have a good relationship with our patient. Because when we ask the patient if their belief could be important to develop apps for the management of their disease, most of the 50% of the patient is waiting for apps in order to monitor the activity and control of their disease. I would like to thank all of the Ucare members who participate in our study. Marcus said that we are a younger network. I believe younger this moment. Hannah, I will send you an email because I guess the Ucare is a good example how a network could be a scientific network. Thank you very much for all of the members. I hope to invite you to participate in our next project. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Ivan, for keeping us on time.
Thank you very much, Ivan, for your presentation and being in time. So we'll moving forward. Let me say also hello from Greece. I'm Michael Makris from the first certified center in Greece, but we're growing up. We're already 3 centers, and there is one more applicant. And let's move to the Cold Sea project from Mochka Biskak and Dorothea Terhost. I don't know if you'll present together. Okay.
Which is forward.
Please try to be on time. We're almost 5 minutes late from the schedule, so please try it as much as you can, please.
Yeah, I have practiced. I'm going to be on time, but I'll try to speak slow. Good morning. My name is Mojca, and I'm going to be presenting the Cold Sea project. That stands for cold urticaria and other cold-induced reactions. My dear colleague, Dora, was not able to make it here today, but she's coming tomorrow. The project was launched about half a year ago at my clinic in Slovenia and in Charité, and it's going to be open until June 2020. The project aims to improve the understanding of cold-induced urticaria, cold-induced pruritus, and cold-induced anaphylaxis. Dora and I and other steering committee members would like to kindly invite you to join us and to help us improve the global care of cold urticaria patients. Please let me introduce you the steering committee members, Professor Maurer, Professor Karnokvalai Kulthanen. Is Raisa Meshkova with us? Professor, is she here? I cannot see her. She's not here. And then Francis Thomas and Professor Košnik from Slovenia. Okay. I made a comparison of past cold urticaria studies, and I found that our study has unique characteristics. We are planning to make it the biggest cold urticaria study in a prospective manner ever performed. We're going to take really detailed clinical history in all patients, and we're going to ask the same questions to all the patients, and that hasn't been done before. We're going to be performing provocation with 2 methods. I would like to say that if someone doesn't have a temp test, just an ice cube is enough. This hasn't been done prospectively yet, taking 2 studies, and we're just going to do so much more. The study protocol has been well defined, and I believe it's easy to follow. It consists of a physician checklist and a patient questionnaire, and it takes about 45 minutes to complete, but I think it's quite fun and easy to perform. We got feedback from colleagues. Patients can be enrolled if they experienced at least 1 cold-induced reaction in the past 12 months. We're really going to be precisely asking about specific triggers. We have a lot of them, but additionally, we want to know which reaction was caused by a certain trigger. So we're going to have really a lot of combinations. We are looking at cold urticaria patients really carefully. I think we can learn so much by looking at their wheals. We want to see what color the wheals are, what their shape is. I think it's really interesting, and so much is still unexplained. We are challenging physicians, researchers also to say what the final diagnosis is, and to think about atypical forms of cold urticaria that I believe have not really been explored in detail so far. I kindly invite you to take a look at our poster, number 39. And to come and talk to me. I would also like to thank the colleagues who have already joined the project. I have not met all of you, but just please come and talk to me. And we plan to publish study data in peer-reviewed journals. And to become a co-author, all you need to do is enroll at least 10 patients and help us with the manuscript development. And I think it's not that hard, so if you have patients, just join us. I think it's also fun. Thank you. On time.
Thank you very much for keeping on time and presenting this project, which is really very interesting. And let's take a junior's boost from Hannah to present us the urticaria vasculitis project.
So, hello everyone. It's a pleasure for me to present present an update on our project, Uversiq. So, background of the project is that urticaria vasculitis patients are characterized by long-lasting wheals. They show post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and also angioedema can be possible. And in contrast, chronic spontaneous urticaria patients show more transient wheals, and also angioedema can be possible. Histopathologically, there's also a difference because in urticaria vasculitis patients, there has to be a leukocytoclastic vasculitis, which is absent in chronic spontaneous urticaria patients. Urticaria vasculitis patients can show systemic involvement, and in chronic spontaneous urticaria, this is very rare or not the case. So we know a lot about patients with chronic spontaneous urticaria, and there are many open questions in patients with urticaria vasculitis, for example, concerning the natural history. I'm sorry, I don't know why. Do you see everything? No. Okay, in patients with urticaria vasculitis, we don't know much about the natural history, the clinical course, associated triggers, or treatment options. And we also don't know whether there's an overlap between the two disorders. So based on this, we want to assess differences in patients with urticaria vasculitis and chronic spontaneous urticaria. So we designed a questionnaire, a patient-related questionnaire, which is divided in 4 parts. So we have 25 questions, and we have this body map. So this is, so you can see the body map there, yeah. I don't know what's happening. So the patient can mark and indicate where the skin lesions are located. We want to include patients with a clear diagnosis of chronic spontaneous urticaria and urticaria vasculitis, and this should also be confirmed by skin biopsy. This is an international project type, and it's prospective and observational, and the recruitment is still ongoing. So this is a very good news for you, because you all can contribute. You can still contribute. So we want to include 100 patients with urticaria vasculitis and chronic spontaneous urticaria. And now I will show you some descriptive analyzed data, because we've got now analyzed 25 patients from our Berlin Ucare, each with chronic spontaneous urticaria and urticaria vasculitis. So we've got also a poster, so it's number 50, so we can also meet there if it's still ongoing with the troubles here. Most of the patients were female in our group, and they showed elevated body mass index levels, which you can see here. And interestingly, when we looked at the first clinical symptoms which were reported from the patients, in urticaria vasculitis patients, there was pain of the skin reported. So urticaria vasculitis patients showed systemic symptoms, and it were mainly arthralgia, fatigue, and eye involvement which were reported. So when we looked at the trigger factors, there was stress, which was the most common reported factor in urticaria vasculitis, as well as chronic spontaneous urticaria patients. So these were just some small results. As I've already told you, we are still recruiting. So there are many busy bees from Turkey and from Russia and from China who've already sent me some questionnaires, but we are still not done, because we want to have for each group at least 100 patients. Now we've got 60, so please contribute. I'm happy to talk to you, write me an email, come to my poster, please participate. We need patients, and we want to include from each team 10 patients. And if you say, I've got 8, then just come to me and we will find a solution, because it's really important to have more patients which we can analyze. So thank you for your attention, and I'm sorry for this presentation, but yeah, it was not my fault. And yeah, so see you at the poster.
Thank you for your enthusiasm, and I apologize for the technical problems. And let's move to Kiran Ghosh to present a very interesting project, also the Urticaria book. I think you have the documents on your hand.
Looking at the Hannah's, I thought I'll not have a presentation. It's better not to have a presentation, because it is already there. The book is already there with me. The Urticaria book, which we planned in March 2019, and in 6 months of time, we could complete the book. Thank you, Marcus, Anna, and Torsten, for giving us a go. Yeah, it's come. It's not coming soon. It is already there. Okay, it's already there with me. And let me tell you short, more than 6,000 copies are being printed, and 5,000 copies are being distributed all over India, and 1,000 copies are meant for global sales. We have got more than 30 authors, book of 120 pages, and it is from all over the world. Few of the authors I don't know personally, so please contact me at the lunch time so that you can get a copy of it. And now for the important part. of inauguration, may I request Dr. Marcus, Dr. Torsten, and Dr. Anna to come on dais for the opening of this book. Dr. Marcus, please. Torsten and Anna, please come. The steering committee, we really made me go, and this was one of the shortest project. I finished in 8 months, so thank you very much. Yes, so I finished the thing in less than 3 minutes, so 2 minutes I have saved for you. So please collect the book, those who have authored the book. It is there with me, and my colleague Dr. Ashwini will give it to you at the lunch outside. So please collect from me. Thank you very much for the great response. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Kiran, for